What is up, guys? So in this video we're going to be heat wrapping my downpipe. So I'm going to start off by actually painting it. You can see my welds here look pretty garbage, but that's fine. I don't care. I'm going to cover it with the heat wrap anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some high heat black on this. I've got it right here. It's good for 2,000 degrees, so we should be good to go with this paint right here. Alright guys, so I did get the whole exhaust wrapped. You can see it down in there. It looks pretty decent. You can see the wideband going to it too. Hopefully it's not too dark. Yeah, you can see that. So it wrapped up pretty good, and I was able to get it to where I didn't have any stainless ties on top and everything. The only issue is I didn't actually test fit the pipe after I finished welded it. I tested it after I had tacked it, but not after I finished welded it. And I think the pipe warped when I finished welded it. And so based on that, it now hits the oil pan. So that kind of sucks. I took the car for a test drive last night, and the car shakes like crazy. It rattles with the engine, so it sounds pretty ridiculous. Yeah, oh well. So what I'm going to do is take the pipe back off the car, and I'm going to see if I can just bash it with a hammer where it hits the oil pan and sort of make it oval. And if I can oval it, hopefully it doesn't hit the oil pan, and then we'll be all set there. Otherwise I'm going to have to cut and re-weld it, which I really don't want to do because I already heat wrapped it and everything. So that kind of sucks. Another thing that kind of sucks is this car is leaking oil again, which, you know, I guess I'm always bound to have an issue with this car. But yeah, if you can see right in there, try to get the light in the right spot, that little area that's cupped there, you can see there's a little oil collection, and it's leaking down the back of the block onto the axle and such. And I was really concerned that it is the head gasket. I don't know if you can see right there, there's an area, that little black section to the left of the cup with the oil in it. That's the head gasket right there. And it really looks like it's seeping out of the head gasket. So I was pretty worried that my head gasket was leaking oil externally. So I did take the valve cover off, and I was re-torquing the head studs, and they're all pretty much at 90. One of them I got a little turn out of, but they're all torqued down. So, you know, there's no reason the head gasket should leak. This thing didn't leak on the last time I put a head gasket on it. It never leaked. I don't know, maybe it did leak before, but I don't think it did. Based on that, I think it might be the cam seal. So I was looking in here, and I don't know if you can tell, but it's a little bit wet in there. So I think it might be the cam seal that's actually leaking, so that would be awesome. I'm gonna put the valve cover back on, take the downpipe off, bang it with a hammer, and then might be ready to do another drive with this thing. I got some new spark plugs coming. When you go with a boosted car, you want to gap the spark plugs down, and you also want to go one heat range colder. So from factory, these are 6 for the heat range. Excuse me. So I went to the BKR 7Es, and I got 4 of those for like 11 bucks on Amazon. So those will be coming in soon, and we'll make sure the gap on those is around 30 thousandths. May even go a little bit further, 25 thousandths or something like that, but that should be good for the power that I want to make. We shouldn't have any spark breakup. If we do, we'll gap them more, or less. But yeah, so I got that coming. I have to do the injectors. I'm unsure of if I want to do the decap on the injectors, or if I maybe should just throw the injectors on from factory. So I'll show you guys the injectors that I actually got. I went to the junkyard a little while back, and I got 4 of these GM truck injectors. There's these stock LS truck injectors with the clips so that I can wire them in. So they have all the O-rings on them and everything. And the decapping process, basically what you do is you take this O-ring off and this plastic cap, and then right here, let me see if I can get it over into the light so you can see it better. But yeah, so that cap right there is actually like fusion welded on. And if you can take a bench grinder and you grind the welds off, you actually take this metal cap off. And it's hard to explain, but once you see it, you'll understand. And once you take that off, it's just like the open pintle, and it sprays really good. It flows double what they flow from factory, even though these from factory probably flow around 300 cc's. My current injectors in the car are probably around 200 or something, a little less. I gotta look that up, but I think these flow around 300 factory, and once you decap them, they flow close to 600 cc's of fuel, which is a ton of fuel. So I think I might want to decap them, I also need to order a fuel pump so we can put a fuel pump in this thing. I don't want to have any fuel system issues, so with those new injectors, hopefully I can make them fit in the factory location where these injectors are right here. I may have to modify the fuel rail height and use a system of O-rings to make them fit, but I've seen it done before on other Hondas, so hopefully it works on the Accord as well. But if that is the case, I only paid $15 for them at the junkyard, so if I can decap them and get them in here for 15 bucks, that is a dirt cheap set of injectors. Realistically, you should have them flow tested, but we're just gonna send it, I think. But yeah, so I don't know if I'm gonna decap them at all. Maybe I will in the future if I do run out of injector with these, but yeah, that's the future plans for the car. So right now I'm gonna see if I can get that downpipe flattened out so I can drive this thing without rattling my teeth out. So I think you can pretty clearly see where it was rubbing on the oil pan, right there in that spot. So I would say probably just from this point to this point, you know, this whole oil pan section, I'm just gonna smash that flat and oval it out a little bit, and hopefully we can get some more clearance. All right, so hopefully you can see that this is a little flat. Yeah, hopefully I didn't go too much. I doubt it's gonna restrict the flow that much. I mean, the exhaust itself, the factory exhaust, is gonna restrict the flow. We'll see. We will see how it goes. The whole exhaust system's a 2.25 anyway, so if we have restriction, we might just have to redo the exhaust, put some kind of cutout in here or whatever. But yeah, for now, I think this will work. I just need to get the car up and running with an exhaust system and turboed, you know, just so I can not have to worry about it rattling. So that should work. I'm gonna go try to throw this back in, and we'll see how nicely it fits now. So you can see the downpipe comes down here, and it clears everything really good in here. Let me get the light closer. Clears that front cross member, but it does still hit the oil pan, unfortunately, even though I banged the crap out of it. Like, I dented the crap out of it, and it still hits the pan. And then it's kind of misaligned with this guy right here. Probably get a better angle of that right there. And a better angle of this oil leak too. See that? All over the axle. And I thought it was maybe coming from the inspection where you stick the pin in that 12 right there, but I don't think it is. I think it is coming from the cam seal, at least I hope. Because if you get back here, you may or may not be able to see up there the seam where the cylinder head meets the block. It looks like it's kind of oily there, but I think it could be from the cam seal and leaking all the way over. So hopefully that's what our issue is, and hopefully it's not the head gasket, because I'm not doing that again. But yeah, so you can see it's kind of misaligned too. So I think for the time being, I'm just gonna go like right about here, and I'm just gonna cut it right after the bend with my Sawzall, and I'll maybe zip tie it so that it doesn't fray away or whatever. And I'll try to realign that, make it a little bit lower, make it line up maybe at a later date. But for right now, I just want a downpipe that doesn't rub, because I drove this thing last night with the downpipe rubbing and it was not fun. The whole car was shaking, you couldn't even hear yourself think. So yeah, I'm gonna try to just hack it off again, and I'll fix it some other time. But I don't really necessarily need a full exhaust. It might even be better to tune it without the full exhaust, get the full power, and then throw the exhaust on. And if it ends up being restrictive, then I'll know I need to do something else for the exhaust, because I don't want to restrict any flow. I want to make max power. And yeah, so I'm gonna hack this thing off, and yeah, then it'll just be back to square one as far as mounting it up to the factory exhaust, but I'll worry about that at a later date. So I've been wanting to try this old trick for a while now, and what I actually did was I zip tied the belt to the cam gear there, and I took it off. You know, I took the motor mount out to give myself more room, and I kind of have it pulled with a bungee so that it won't jump any teeth on the crank. And I'm definitely going to check the timing and verify it afterwards, but yeah, I've been wanting to try this trick for a while. So we're going to see if we need a cam seal. Judging by this, it doesn't really look too much like we do need a cam seal. Oh, actually, no, I do see some oil on the bottom down there, so I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but underneath the camshaft down there, there's a little drop. So I think that it is our problem, which is awesome. This is what I was hoping for, and hopefully when we get this cam seal changed, it'll fix our problem. Alright, so hopefully from this angle you can see the little drip of oil on the bottom right underneath the cam seal, and the way this thing looks, you know, looking down in there, it really looks like it's all wet up top, which is a good sign to me. And yes, it's wet down there, and you can see that puddle there, but the thing that gave me the indication that it was a cam seal is that shiny part that goes vertical down on the back there. It's you can't tell, but it's kind of oily, and that was what gave me the inclination that it might be the cam seal. So there is hope for us. I think we're gonna be okay. I'm gonna try to change this cam seal without ruining anything. I'm gonna try to be careful and press the new one in, and yeah, we should be good to go. I like this method here, as long as I'm able to easily access the seal, which it looks like I'll probably have enough room. I tried to move minimal things. I have all the things back together with new seals and everything, and taking off that lower timing cover is just the worst. I can't stand it, so I'd rather not do that if I don't have to, and it looks like I might not have to, as long as I can get the timing correct, which I should, because everything's zipped tight. So I'm going to go ahead and knock this old seal out here. Alright, so I just wanted to show you guys my setup right here. So you can see that what I've done is I took a right angle drill and I drilled a small hole, as small as I could get, and then I put the smallest screw I could find and I put it right through the seal. You gotta be very careful not to damage the outside or especially the camshaft, because if you damage the camshaft, every revolution it's gonna be slinging oil out of the seal, and if you damage the outside, it'll leak, not that much, but a little bit. So this is definitely the best way to get out this seal. If you don't have like a seal puller or whatever, this method works pretty good. So just drill a hole, screw the screw in, and then I'm going to grab some pliers and see if I can yank it out. Alright, so got our new seal installed. I was able to push it on with my fingers. It was pretty tough, honestly. It was no joke. I pushed really hard. I was pushing my whole body against the car, and then I ended up taking the old seal and putting it with the front, facing the front of that one, and using this to push it below the surface just a little bit, because it's supposed to seat just a little bit below the surface. So yeah, I think we are good to go on that cam seal. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can put the cam gear back on without having to loosen the tension, and that'll be the whole point of this trick here, to see if it works or not. Alright, so I got the car all back together. You can probably see it behind me. Yeah, I'm all set to take this thing for a test drive, and when I get back I'm going to check and see if there's oil in that spot where it was leaking, and hoping to find no oil. That's the hope. So yeah, pray for me. So I did end up taking the car for a test drive, and unfortunately, looking in that same little spot, there's another pool of oil there. So looks like the camshaft seal did not fix my problem. So maybe that was a little bit jumpy of me to just try to throw a part at it like that. I did think it was the cam seal, but I guess it's not. So based on that, I think my next place to check is going to be the valve cover. I'm going to put some oil dye in it, I think, and drive it to work tomorrow, and I'm going to see what it looks like when I get home. And if there's, you know, dye all the way up from the valve cover area, then I know that it's the valve cover. And if I don't see any dye up there, and I only see it in the pool down there by the cylinder head, then I know that it is in fact the head gasket that's leaking. But everything I read online says that Hondas rarely leak from that head gasket area, and usually it's a cam seal, so that is why I did it. And it appears that it wasn't the cam seal, so you know, I think that it's probably going to end up being the valve cover. If it's not the valve cover, then I'm totally screwed. But we'll see. Stay tuned to find out what happens. That test drive was so much fun. This car is great. I added more fuel and we had a little bit more room in the injectors, so it's doing pretty good. I can't quite rev it out all the way, but I was getting up to 3,500, 4,000, building 5 pounds of boost, and it was pulling pretty good, running like an 11.0 air fuel. So we got a little bit more left in it. I'm going to keep tuning it every time I drive it and try to do some more pulls soon. But thanks for watching and stay tuned. We got to get to the bottom of this oil leak here.